Hi everyone, my name is Mohammed Okusi, and today's mini lesson is on how to cook the perfect steak. Before we get started, there are three main things that we need to remember to make a perfect steak. One, it has to have a perfectly nice and hard crust at the top. Second thing, it has to be nice and juicy from the inside. I usually go for medium rare. The third thing is that we need to make sure we have aromatics to elevate that taste and make it a little bit more complicated. To make a perfect steak, you need to have 7 ingredients. First, it all starts with a steak. It has to be a nice, well-marbled steak. Triple A is what I usually go for to have a nice level of fat at the center here so that melts right into the steak as it cooks. Second, salt and pepper. Basic but essential. I go for the kosher salt so that it has big flakes, and coarse black pepper, also fairly big, so that I can add nice texture to the steak as it's cooking. Next, we have our butter and aromatics. I have thyme, rosemary, and some garlic, and that should bring our steak game to the next level. To cook a perfect steak, there are 4 basic steps. Step 1, season your steaks well. We'll start off with salt and pepper, and we'll spread that on liberally. One thing to keep in mind is that not all of the seasoning will stay on the steak. In fact, some of it will fall off. We season it liberally. Pepper. Pat that in there a bit. Take this to the other side as well. Turn and do the same thing on the other side. Make sure the sides are also seasoned well. We'll do that for both steaks. There we go. Step 2 is searing the steak. So first we start off with a high heat on our pan and we wait for it to smoke. Once you see the pan smoking, now you know that the steak is ready to go in. At this point, steak down. That's the sound that you want to hear. That's a good sear going on the steak. That's the second one. You're gonna leave that for 30 seconds on each side to make a perfect sear.
Now flip and flip. Now we're going to press down on the steaks to help with the searing process. You also want to sear the sides of the steaks. Make sure to take advantage of the shape of the pan. Step 3, at this point we have a good sear on our steaks. We're going to want to put our heat on medium and add our butter and aromatics. First step, we have our butter. We're going to put that all over. Going to make sure that melts well. Next, we're going to add rosemary. We're also adding thyme. And a couple cloves of garlic. And we're going to mix that right into the butter so that all these flavors infuse together. Next, we baste. We add all these flavors that are mixed into the butter right back onto the steak to go inside and add a depth of flavor. Step 4.
Put them down to rest for 10 minutes or so is about a good time, just to make sure that the juices lock inside. Once you've waited 10 minutes, serve. In summary, there are 3 main things we need to remember when making a perfect steak. 1, it has to have a nice and hard crust at the top. 2, it has to be nice and juicy inside. 3, it has to have a good amount of aromatics to make sure that the taste is elevated. To do this, we have 4 specific steps. 1, we make sure that the steak is well prepped with a good amount of seasoning that's liberal because some of it might fall off. 2, we make sure that our pan is on a high heat and the steaks are seared at a high heat, making that perfect crust that we're looking for. 3, we make sure that we put in our aromatics, the butter, and we make sure that we baste as we're cooking until we reach the level of wellness that we want in a steak. The 4th step is making sure that we put the steak to rest After 10 minutes, we put it out and we serve.